Yeah, or you make it on first or second down. You don't need a fourth down play.
True.
I think Coach Grove would tell you he'd rather be leading on the only indicator that really matters, and that's the scoreboard. But you're right, Norristown did dominate that first quarter of play. Colonials with only 6 offensive plays, and one of those was a punt. So.
And you have to say that they could have had 6 points on that pass from Stewart to Terrell into the end zone. Just a couple of breaks go your way, and you're up 7-0.
Timeout on the field here as we switch ends of the playing surface. It'll be 3rd down and 6 for the Colonials from their own 20-yard line. They split the wideouts. A single setback, 3 receivers in a spread pattern. There's a blitz from the outside. The Colonials pick it up. They go way up top and not a chance. I'll tell you what, Elzar Campbell is a heck of a receiver, but he couldn't catch that ball. Triple coverage.
Finally, we see somebody who might have an advantage on Audley Stewart or Troy Swittenberg at the corner position. Elzar Camper is a very tall receiver. We have him listed as 6'5", a tall receiver, and he does play basketball. I remember calling his name. But one of the fascinating things about that play is number 25, Terry Powell, who is the starting defensive end for Norristown, drops back into coverage and double teams the receiver. And it's amazing to see a defensive end drop back.
It's a low punt taken by Ricky Preet at about the 48-yard line, and he got about 2 yards on the return right up the midfield. Good coverage that time by number 3, A.J. Carter. So once again, the Norristown defense forces a 3-and-out situation for the Colonials, and the Eagles take over again in good field position right at midfield.
Well, the defense does 2 things for you. The first thing it does is, it obviously keeps the points off the board. The second thing it can do for you is when you get to that next level, it starts to get you good field position. Some defenses, they'll go with the bend, don't break. They'll give up 20 to 30 yards, and your offense won't have great field position. Norristown likes to get their offense good field position so they have a short field to work with.
Audley Stewart on the rollout. I'll tell you what, that ball came flying loose, but certainly Stewart was down by contact. Audley Stewart, you can see the quickness, even on this wet turf, at how quickly Stewart accelerated.
A coach cringes a little bit when he sees his quarterback put his head down and start to run. That's not your job. Stay in the pocket and throw the ball, some coaches will say. But the running back coming out of Audley Stewart, once again, he put his head down and made sure he got a couple of yards there. A great run by Stewart, once again, putting the ball down and trying to get yardage.
We'll give Audley Stewart 4 on the carry, bringing up 2nd and 6 for the Eagles. And Greg, it's starting to lighten up here a little bit. It's a little brighter, but I tell you, I don't think the rain's any less.
We can still see the clock, so it's not that bright.
That's right. Swittenberg, the quick hit, shakes the first tackle, goes off the right side, picks up a couple on the play. I'll tell you, there was good penetration that time, Greg, by the Colonials, and Swittenberg did a nice job to get outside and pick up a few yards on the play.
Well, that's what frustrates defenses. Defenses they'll break through, they'll get the initial hit on Troy Swittenberg, and he'll break that tackle, and you'll be laying on the ground as you try to hit him, and you'll think to yourself, how did he get away from me? And all of a sudden you look back and he's got 5-6 yards and 5 other guys are trying to tackle him. That's what frustrates defensive linemen and safeties that come on blitzes. Defenses, you have to stay with Troy Swittenberg, and the first hit might not work, but you have to try and get 4 or 5 on him to try and knock him down.
That was 2 yards on that carry, bringing up 3rd and 4 for the Eagles. Again, the play action. Penetration by the Colonials. Stewart's in trouble. He rolls out, slips 1 tackle, but he's going to be dropped short of the first down. So once again, the Colonial defense steps up to the plate, and the Eagles are unable to convert on a 3rd down play. And we're going to see the punting unit on this time for Norristown.
Give a lot of credit to the cornermen, Chris Frank and Joe Fritz. They're doing a great job of making sure those Norristown receivers don't get free. When you have James Edmonds and Ernie Terrell, big receivers, great hands, you have to stay on them at all points. If they get a step, they're going to be able to go up after the ball and beat you to the ball.
So Trey Hadrick on the punt for Norristown. The Colonials finally get somebody back deep to receive in Bob Travellini. Good snap. Hadrick looks to the right, kicks to the left. Nice Norristown bounce, and Travellini stays away from it. It'll be downed by the Eagles at the 10-yard line. So the Colonials have not had much in the way of field position today, Craig.
when you have to go 90 yards against a defense like Norristown, what more can you say? It's probably not going to be done. It's a tough thing to do, and especially when it starts to pour rain like it's doing now.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, the skies have sort of opened up a bit here. These folks deserve some kind of a medal for sitting out in this really raging rainstorm now. Wow. I tell you, it's a little chilly up here in the press box too. You know, I'm starting to get a little cool.
Didn't you say it was good that the skies were starting to brighten?
That's right. That's right. This time, the quick handoff up the middle.
57.
Fulmer, I believe that was Travellini on the carry. No, sorry, that was number 27, Justin Pratt, the ball carrier. And Pratt picked up only a yard, 2nd and 9.
Pratt and Travellini are the two men, you know, who really get the rushing yards for PW. Pratt with 581 on the year and Travellini with 627, so they'll split the yardage. Don't always give it to the fullback. Those are two gentlemen who are tailbacks, and they get the ball a lot.
Norristown linebackers did a good job that time containing the play. This time Pratt to the left side on the pitch, and there's going to be a loss on that play. I'll tell you what, great pursuit by the Eagle defense all the way to that outside. Looks like number 50 Benitez was out there, was the primary tackler.
Norristown doing a great job of stringing out the play right there. The linemen getting off of their blocks and making sure that the ball carrier didn't get to the outside and turn the corner. And then, of course, your corners making sure, you know, that they're the last line and make sure that they make the hit, they make the stick to slow the ball carrier down.
Give some credit to Terry Powell from his defensive end position, was a key part of that play as well. So 3rd and almost 10 for the Colonials. They do the quick handoff, and the Eagles not fooled at all. Stuff it right up the middle. That time it was Travellini on the carry. Picked up maybe 2 yards. It's going to be 4th and 7 or 8, and the Colonials will be forced to punt.
Eric Benitez, he really should be excited about that play. He was on his block. He was trying to rush and get to Fulmer. On the delayed handoff, he saw the ball be handed off to Travellini, and he got off of his block and made a great swipe at his foot to make the tackle.
Fulmer, the quarterback, doing the punting, and I'll tell you, that one slipped off the end of his foot, but it took a nice Colonial bounce, and the Eagles wisely stay out of the way. Once again, they'll have excellent field position, but it could have been a lot better had that ball not kicked end over end in the Colonials' favor.
Is this how you remember Thanksgiving supposed to be, or?
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. You know, Greg, coming down here, I was reminiscing a little bit with you about some of the Thanksgiving Day games that I recall. And, of course, it was always Norristown, Upper Merion in those days. Some of my best memories of Norristown football relate to those Thanksgiving Day games. I remember Steve Bono leading the Eagles to a comeback victory over at Upper Merion when he was the quarterback for this squad, and, of course, going on to a long career in the NFL. I also remember a great Thanksgiving Day finish, and I'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's back down onto the field. Stewart, he fakes the pitch. Good pursuit by the Colonials. This is trouble. Audley Stewart fails to get back to the line of scrimmage, loses 3 yards on the play. But I'll tell you, Greg, I remember standing right here in this press box, and a great comeback win for Norristown. Upper Merion had driven down the field. I believe this was 1981. Would have been my junior year in high school. Upper Merion had driven down the field, kicked a long field goal to go ahead in the game. It was about 50 seconds to play. And Norristown drove about 70 yards in 3 plays, finishing off with a huge pass play to the back of the end zone to Tyler Smith for a victory with time running out. It was absolutely amazing.
I can remember some of the Upper Merion games as I started to grow up, too. And as Swittenberg gets the ball and goes up the middle. But now, we're finally starting to get to that Norristown PW rivalry. It's, a great rivalry and 2 great football teams in the area. And I can remember 2 years ago sitting in the same press box. I can remember having about 3 shirts on, a winter coat, gloves, and still being probably 20 degrees colder than I really wanted to be.
Yeah, it certainly is not too terribly cold today. It's probably in the 50s, but it's a driving rainstorm and just terrible conditions.
Shouldn't there be snow on the field and, children playing?
Flurries, that's right. And that's what you would hope for, but it certainly has not come to bear today. And again, there's a scoreless game here down on the field. The Eagles are faced with 3rd and 10. The Colonial defense really stepping up to the plate so far in this game. 5:34 to play in the first half. Stewart almost slips again. He's got protection this time. He goes across the middle. What a great catch and a first down. I'll tell you what, James Edmonds, just a great job to pick that ball out of the air, and a perfect throw by Audley Stewart into heavy coverage.
What more can you say about James Edmonds? We've seen him make so many great catches over the middle, on the sidelines. He can go over a receiver, and he can use his height. But the one thing that you have to say about James Edmonds is he is the strongest receiver you will see in high school football. Amazing. He had 4 or 5 guys around. He somehow got through there and said, "That's my ball." Got a first down. Even better, when he ran his route, he went 11 yards and make sure he had a first down.
You're absolutely right. That's what he needed. Needed 11, and that's what he got. Swittenberg stuck there. No gain on the play. Just about got back to the line of scrimmage. So Troy Swittenberg stopped for no yardage on that last play. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Eagles. Just one last thing about that Terrell catch. You are absolutely right when you say he muscled his way back to the ball. I mean, that was an excellent catch.
And sometimes you'll see receivers, when they realize that they have to go into 4 or 5 guys, just to make sure that the ball doesn't get picked off. James Edmonds is always looking to catch the ball wherever he is. He could have 11 guys standing around him. He would want to get to that ball.
So 2nd and 10 from the Colonial 39-yard line. Audley Stewart talking to his troops. The quick out. They've got the man open that time, but I'll tell you what, 88 Ernie Terrell was open. They called that play at the line of scrimmage, I believe, because they could see the Colonials playing off the receiver. Little quick out to Terrell, let him try and do a little bit one-on-one with the cornerback, but right through his hands on this wet day.
That's a tough play for a couple of reasons. Number one, your quarterback's got to make that quick throw out there, not always get set because he wants to get the ball out there as quickly as possible. And number two, the receiver, knowing that he's got 5 or 6 yards with his cornerback playing off of him, he wants to cut up field, and sometimes you have to make sure you bring the ball down first and then go up field with it.
And this time they put Trey Hadrick into the wide receiver slot. Three wide receivers, almost a fumble on the exchange. It's a late handoff to Swittenberg, and that was the intended play. A little bit of a draw, although they showed pass in the formation, and it was probably a loss of a yard on the play. Troy better be careful about this. He loses any more yards, he's going to be back below 44 for the game. We have him very close to that, actually. So the Eagles will once again be forced to punt, it appears. They're from the Colonial 40-yard line. We'll see what Coach Grove intends to do. That is the case. Hadrick back to kick. They have Travellini down at the 10-yard line for a possible return. Good snap. Nice kick. It's fielded at the 10 by Travellini. He's tripped up. Fumble. Norristown ball. Boy, I'll tell you, there's the break the Eagles have been waiting for. Great play that time and a recovery by number 60 for Norristown, Sean Vanalinda.
And give credit to 52, Matt DePere. He got down there and stripped the ball. There were men down there before him. He got down and stripped the ball, made sure he got to it, stripped that ball away, and of course falling on the ball right there, great field position for Norristown. Travellini's got to make sure he holds on to that ball, whatever he does. This is not a place that you want to fool around with Norristown. Make sure it's tucked away and get upfield. But a great play by the Norristown players down there to, take a lunge after the ball, knowing he's got 4 guys behind him who could make a tackle 2 yards away.
So the Eagles with now first down from the Colonial 19-yard line coming off that turnover. Stewart on the rollout. He's got Swittenberg out front. Great pursuit by the Colonials. And I'll tell you, the Eagles have had big problems trying to run the ball today. Excellent penetration by the Colonial backfield.
It looks like 25 Andrew Piacatelli out there. He did a great job coming off of his end spot. He saw Stewart roll out. He knows his job is not to lunge after the ball. He knows his job is not to lunge after Audley Stewart. His job is to make sure Audley Stewart does not go upfield. Make him just keep coming to the outside until he has no more room left, and then make your attack. And he's doing a great job of that. The defensive coaches on the far sideline are probably telling him, keep doing that for 2 more quarters. Maybe we can contain the very talented Audley Stewart.
So with that loss of 2 on the play, it's 2nd and 12 for the Eagles from the Plymouth-Whitemarsh 21-yard line. Stewart, little misdirection play, comes off the left side, fumble, Colonials ball. Boy, I'll tell you, that didn't take long. Number 88, Ernie Terrell. I'll tell you, Terrell had picked up a few yards on the play coming from his wide receiver position. And he was hit hard and coughed up the ball, and the Colonials right there to recover it. So quick turn of events, the Eagles unable to capitalize on a huge opportunity.
Well, I'm going to make the greased pig reference because that thing popped out of there like a greased pig. Ernie Terrell got a hat laid on him, and unfortunately that ball popped out. A good call from Norristown, but that's one of the problems of having, a wide receiver running through the middle. They're not used to holding onto the ball, and it is a different thing than running down the sidelines.
Fulmer with the quick hit up the middle. Colonials pick up several yards on the play. The line of scrimmage was the 15-yard line, and that time Justin Pratt picks up 2 or 3 on the play. We'll call it second and a long 7. And now it looks, Greg, like the rain has virtually stopped here. I tell you, it's a crazy day for weather here.
On and off day, just take what you get. I guess take the 10 minutes when it's not raining.
Absolutely. Colonial quarterback Fulmer keeps the ball himself, and I'll tell you what, it seemed like Norristown was as unsure about that as I was, Greg. They have gone with that quick hit handoff most of the game today, and that time Fulmer on the option play carried it beautifully, very close to a first down, up to about the 25-yard line.
Well, and it's a smart call. Travellini's not getting yards, Pratt's not getting yards. They can't get the ball to Elzar Camper, so why not use your quarterback? Why not use the guy who's, has been giving the ball out? Let him keep it for a couple of plays. Let's see what he can do with the ball. Just anything to mix up the Norristown defense. If you keep giving it to enough guys, Norristown's going to start guessing at who's going to get the ball.
So it's 3rd and inches now. And this time they go off the left side for the first down. I believe that was Pratt on the carry. Picks up several yards. They only needed several inches. So that'll be the Colonials' first down of today's contest. We have 1:29 remaining in the first half. And again, Greg, at this point in the game, you had said at the end of the first quarter, Coach Grove's got to be saying to his guys, keep doing it. It's going to break free. Now you start to say a little bit or think a little bit in the back of your mind, geez, we've dominated this game, and it's still nothing. We don't have an advantage in this. Is Lightning going to strike? Are they going to get the break?
And PW's doing exactly what they want to do. By staying in this game, they're gaining more confidence. They're hoping they can try and wear down Norristown a little bit. They can make that attack when they come out of the locker room. At this point, PW's in the position that they want to be.
1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line off the left side. That was a little picking move that time by number 1, Chris Frank, I believe.
And Jeff, before the last couple of plays, I was just thinking to myself that the Norristown defense is doing a great job of containing the passing offense of PW. Steve Fulmer coming into the game had 1,123 yards. You look at the running backs, their 2 top running backs have that combined. So you look at PW and you see the great Elzar Camper, he has 20.8 yards a catch. They have to throw the ball to really move the ball down the field. Norristown's doing a great job of making sure that they can't get the ball to their receivers.
Well, Coach Iacovetti is certainly keeping it on the ground here in this contest. That was another run straight up the gut, this time by Pratt. After that 3-yard pickup by Frank, it looks like another 3 yards by Pratt. It's going to be 3rd down and 4 from the Colonial 34-yard line, and that's the end of the first half. So, Coach Iacovetti quite content to keep the ball on the ground, not trying to do anything crazy at the end of this first half. His squad dodged a bullet there, Greg, as Norristown unable to convert on the fumble recovery deep in Colonial territory. So after 2 quarters of play, it's Norristown nothing, Plymouth-Whitemarsh nothing, and we'll be back for what portends to be a solid and entertaining second half of football. We'll join you in shortly and come back and see the rest of this Thanksgiving Day football clash. Well, Greg, after 1 half of play, a scoreless tie, Norristown and Plymouth-Whitemarsh in a sloppy condition, not terribly sloppy play first half, but I'll tell you, you could see that the effect the weather had on the game. A lot of unsure footing, 2 fumbles late in the half, really of no consequence in the course of the game necessarily, but both teams, I think, taken out of their game a little bit.
It's really a shame for this game. These are two of the most talented teams that we'll see at Roosevelt Field this year. Obviously, Norristown, we've seen their talent all year. PW is really a talented team, and unfortunately, this is a tough game for both teams. You plan all week to play on dry conditions and to work plays, and now you have to adjust a little bit. Both teams had some early problems doing it. Both teams actually still having problems doing it, but PW staying in this game, hanging with Norristown, within striking distance right now of really taking this game.
Well, I'll tell you, it's tough from both sides of the ball. If I'm Coach Grove, I've got to be sitting in there saying my team dominated the first half of play, but I have nothing to show for it. And the longer PW stays close in this game, the more I worry about the quick strike, the fumble pickup that somebody runs back for a touchdown, and all of a sudden my team was outplayed PW and I lose anyway. And if you're Yacovetti, you've got to be telling your kids just that.
It's a tough thing for Norristown. If PW comes into Roosevelt Field, they have nothing to lose. They've lost 2 straight games. This is a team, it's going for broke. They want everything. They want to try and get, the share of the league title. Norristown's come in a little bit disappointed from the playoff loss 2 weeks ago, game they thought they should have won. A game against Upper Merion last week that they won 28-0. No real competition there from Upper Merion. They came in, Norristown really did coast through that game. They did nothing that showed that they are a dominant team. They coasted through. They showed, they obviously showed that they can play. They win by 28 points. It's tough to get up for another game after you've been down from a big game, and then you have to get up for another big game. Right now, this game obviously means the title, and that'll get you fired up, but that this is the last half of football also. So look for individuals to try and step up and try and increase the intensity of this game. And it's very intense out there so far.
Greg, we talked a bit about at the top of the game about that league title, and just to reiterate, Norristown has already earned a share of the divisional title, rather. If Colonials can win this game, what will happen is there will be a 3-way tie between Plymouth-Whitemarsh, Penn Ridge, and Norristown. So the Eagles have already earned a share, but they certainly want to win it outright, and the Colonials certainly would like to take home a portion of that divisional title. We want to remind everyone that this game is being brought to you by the Norristown Area School District. We want to thank Mr. Tony Koya, Director of Communications, who facilitates all of this on a regular basis. Mr. Sam Galbraith, our director today, our cameramen Mark Stong and J.J. Sprouse, and of course I'm Jeff Brandon along with Greg Fry. And Greg, I want to thank you for inviting me out of retirement today to come back and do this football game. I know that you and Walt have done a lot of games and you've been some different combinations doing them. It's been really 2 years since I've done Norristown football regularly, and I certainly enjoy it. It's been a lot of fun today.
It's great to have you up here. I just wanted to ask you, though, is the rust starting to come off a little bit? Starting to get back into it.
I tell you, it doesn't take long. It's like riding a bike. It's a lot of fun to do these football games. I started doing it, I guess, when I was a sophomore in high school. So it's going on 20 years. That's a little scary. It's been on and off, though.
You've been out of high school for 20 years?
I've been out of high school for 16 years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But,
I didn't mean to
almost 17 years. Almost 17 years.
I should have gone low considering you're my ride home.
That's right. That's right. I've seen a lot of great players play on this football field, both for Norristown and for opposing squads. And I'll tell you, Troy Swittenberg certainly stands out among them. His accomplishments speak for themselves, and he has achieved 5,000 yards for his high school rushing career, which is just a staggering statistic. And to be the leading rusher at this high school is a great achievement.
I think the really great thing is that over the last 2 years, this has been a Norristown team that has competed, and this is a Norristown team that people fear. I remember 4 or 5 years ago, of course, the great running back Damon Carroll that's now playing at Florida. As you mentioned, Jeff, some of the great players, from 10 to 15 years ago. But this is a team now, and you're going to remember the 1 or 2 players still. But this is a team now that people, when they come into Roosevelt Field or when Norristown comes into their field, they think to themselves, "This is, we are scared of the talent of this team." And Norristown, of course, state ranked this year. They were as high as 4, as high as 3 last year. Once again, just an amazing job by the coaches. Coach Grove has really opened it up and let his talent take over.